Hi everyone, this is Dr. Lisa, and let's talk a little bit more about anger. Woohoo! Part 3. Enjoy. Well, there are different styles, different people. Some people blow up and fly off the handle from 0 to 10 in half a second. Some people, withdraw and go cold and go numb. And some people actually glaze over, and it's like they're not there anymore and they forget how to think. And I talk about my mother a lot because she's a great example of it, but she used to terrify me so much that everything that I did was essentially not up to her standards and not good, no matter how I did it. There was always something I missed. There was always something wrong. There was always something I forgot to put my attention on, and there was always something I forgot. Literally, she used to ask me to find something, and I was so terrified. It would be right in front of me. I couldn't see it. And so my brain just like overloaded, and the surge protector just like locked and loaded, and just like blew. Some responses that we have to anger are really just kind of our security is threatened, so we get scared. And in that fear, we respond in certain ways to protect ourselves, while the other person is responding to protect themselves, even if they're, violently yelling or screaming or just, vomiting out what's going on. So what you do is you don't have to stay there. You can set a boundary, and you got to actually choose if it's worth saying something, or do you just leave? It's like we talked about before, the fight, the flight, or the freeze. It's really how you choose to be in the moment. Sometimes you can kind of sense when somebody's angry about something, that you can just present a different point of view, and the two of you can and then it dissipates, right? Sometimes they're so heated and they're stuck in their point of view that the best thing you can do is say, hi. Do you need to be alone? Do you need some space? Yes. And then go. Sometimes they're withdrawn, they're feeling sick, and you're like, hi, can I get you anything? Is there anything wrong? What can I do? And that softness will melt them to open and dissipate some of the intensity of the anger. Then situations seem to resolve. How you want to deal with anger is really up to you. I personally don't want to walk around my house worrying that someone's going to explode, and I don't want to walk around my own home wondering if somebody's not going to talk to me or brood in the room. So I don't tend to create relationships like that. The word expectation is very dangerous, because when you expect, you've already defined how it's going to look, which means you don't even let the people around you show up. When you don't let the people around you show up, you're controlling everything. And so your anger is from your own decision about controlling everything and micromanaging everything. And that is basically giving the message that everybody and everything they're doing is wrong, because you're the only one that can do it right. This is what a lot of entrepreneurs get into, and what I did too, that almost destroyed my business, is that I think I have the only way and the right way, and everybody else sucks. And it's not true. Everybody else's idea creates and collaborates at the greater whole. And it will stick out like kangaroo balls, so to speak, if it doesn't. It's very clear when it's not about expectations and whatever. When someone's just not doing the job, it's very clear. I hope you're all laughing on that, because I love kangaroos, and I loved when I went to Australia. And I went to the zoo to see the kangaroos because I'm in Australia. But man, I saw some other things too. You can't expect monogamy. You must have a conversation. It's called non-negotiables. One of the things I love about my partner is that when we first got together, my partner had a list of non-negotiables. And I had never had someone come to me with a list of non-negotiables. And which allowed me to come forward with non-negotiables. And our lists were very different. My partner's was very long and very methodical, which is a little bit about my partner. Mine was very short and just 2 or 3 points, kind of like, choosing the house that we live in. I wanted water, and I got a ton of water. a pond, a river, and waterfalls, and sunsets. And I got a ton of sky and a ton of sunset. So mine's very specific that way, a little bit more whatever, right? Artistic or whatever. And my other half, sometimes I say my better half, is very long and methodical and saying, well, what if this, then that, and that, then this, and here's what it is for me. And it made me think about all those things, even though they weren't my non-negotiables. And I had to really come forward and say, yes, that's cool. I agree with that. And yes, I agree with that, but here's how I have to change it. And no, I'm sorry. That might be your non-negotiable, but I can't agree to that at all. So what are we going to do here? And those are the harder conversations. And so don't have expectations. Have a non-negotiable list and discuss them. That prevents expectations, because expectations will never be met. They will always be disappointed, which is the point of an expectation. Sabotage. Have a direct conversation, and then even if you forget something, it'll come from the conversation, because it's not appropriate in that moment unless it comes up the next moment, then it is. And then you move on. And I always say to couples, a lot of people used to come to me for couples therapy, 5, 7, 10 years into the relationship. And I would say one thing that would shock them all, and was more shocking to me, their answer, because they all had the same answer. When you got married, did you do vows? Yes. How long have you been married? X amount of years. Have you ever redone your vows? No. Have you changed? Yes. Wouldn't that mean that your vows have changed? Not the foundation. The vows are the foundation. They're your non-negotiables at that time, but then you change and you have to keep negotiating because you change. And most couples come to couples therapy because they've changed and they've grown and they forgot to take care of the most important thing, which is their unit. And then they wake up hating each other. Well, it's because they didn't go back here. And not all the case, you know what I mean? Nothing's just one black or white. That's what I saw a lot. And sometimes, and it was all expectations, but because they didn't grow individually and collectively. They grew individually. They didn't grow together collectively. They separated. That's what expectations do. Well, the first thing is to acknowledge the wrong that you did. That usually softens everybody's heart, even though they still might be a little closed and a little hurt. And then you kind of nurture the relationship by acting different, literally committing to it. And then coming back together and, checking in with each other about how they're doing. And so then it's like nurturing and repairing and reconnecting, and then it's renewed. The good thing is it does take time, but time really does change things. It might not change in your favor or the way you want the outcome, but it will change things. It will either change the relationship or it will change the dynamic. And when explosions happen, to me, they're time to change a dynamic in relationship or in business or in yourself or in where you're going or in what you're doing, because something is not right. We're not meant to explode. We're really meant to live in peace and calm and joy and happiness and all of that. And when things are getting really heated within yourself and you're exploding or frustrated or not happy or depressed, something's wrong. And you need to figure out what it is. And stop hiding from it and stop taking it out on people. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.